Live on the UI Radio Network. The Good Intentions Show is sponsored by the United Intentions Foundation at unitedintentions.org, a virtual community where you learn to create, track, and manifest your passions one intention at a time. Look for us on Blog Talk, Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, and many more. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram under United Intentions and on Twitter at Higher Intention. Yes, this is the Good Intentions Show, where you will meet people who live life intentionally and hear about things they're not telling you in the mainstream media. And now, here's the truth seeker, the snake charmer, a legend in his own mind, broadcasting live all over the universe, your host, Mr. Tim Ray.
Now we're talking. This is how I like to start my morning.
Yeah, me too.
A little electric guitar, good conversation, cup of agua. I'm ready to roll. Hello, everybody. WDJY listeners out there, 99.1. WWNN, 93.5. Hello. WBOB down there in Florida, South Georgia. You guys we're going to rock and roll today. I hope you're already rocking and rolling because we're going to have an incredible guest, Travis Fox. He's all over the internet. He has incredible videos, inspirational videos. The architect of being we're talking about. Travis Fox, a.k.a. the architect of being. You know, you're not a human doing. You realize that yet? You may think you're a human doing, but you're not. You have always been a human being. Just sometimes through life, we forget we're supposed to be being more so than doing. And I'm guilty. Listen, I do, where half the time I should be being, but I get it. So we're going to learn how we could create that, design our lives today, how to be more in the being mode than in the doing mode. And ironically, you end up with a lot more fulfillment, right? Well, you're going to hear the secret sauce today from Travis Fox. So hang in there. You guys want to call and get involved in a conversation? Join in, 678-495-4345. Tell us what you think, 678-495-4345. And also leave some messages on Facebook, Spreaker, go on YouTube. Check out our Patreon page, too, as well. All right, so what have we got coming up here? I'm out of town here in an hour. After the show, I'm heading out.
Oh, yeah, where you going?
Ship me off to Virginia Beach, hang out with Edgar Cayce Foundation, all the top board directors over there. Yeah, we're going to be having a great time. We're partnering with the Edgar Cayce Foundation, the Sleeping Prophet. Woo! Right? I love that. This is just great stuff. So much. We have their whole conference going on today. You want to check it out? I'm going with Dawn Worthy from Dreamworthy, one of the new hosts of our new show. Suchi's going. Taking Suchi with me. We're filming. We're doing a little doco reality show on the airplane. She's got to film us. We're going to have fun with this. This is going to be a great time out there in Virginia Beach for the weekend. They're having their amazing foundation. From the Thursday to Sunday. You want to check it out over there in Virginia Beach. Lastly, don't forget, check out the Psychic Bartender today. Gloria Parker, another new host to our show, to our network, I should say. At 4 p.m. today, WDJY 99.1. Also Facebook Live. Call in. That's one show you want to call in. She reads numbers very quickly. She's a numerologist, and she's amazingly crazy, scary, accurate. I've never seen that before.
I know.
Who knew we're all made up of numbers? I didn't know. You know, all I got to say is, bring me the eights. I love the eights. You like the eights, Wahid?
I do.
All right, let me tell you about a little bit of our guest today. Travis Fox, the architect of being. He is hot to trot. And also, just found out he used to live in Atlanta. So now he's even more so dear to our heart, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This cat's responsible for creating, managing, marketing products, and not only in the services and corporate workshops, but generating by companies. But for the last 25 years, this guy's been doing this, right? And he's been involved in communication and branding and corporate cultures from private to public corporations. So, I mean, he's a smart man. He goes where it's needed the most. Businesses kind of create the whole momentum. You spend more time with your work husbands and work wives than you probably do with your own real work wives, right?
That's true,
yeah, work husbands. And it's like, wow. And then half the time you're working in environments where you don't even like the people. right? A lot of you folks out there don't like your boss or don't like who you work for or who even works for you. Not me. I made sure when I left working for the man, I created my own culture. I like everybody who I work with.
There you go, man. That's
now, some may not like me, though. I don't know if that's fair. Not fair. You know what I mean?
Hey, what can you do?
Right. And so he has performed his own personal brand of entertainment for over 6,500 performances worldwide. For the last 25 years as corporate events as well. Travis is more than just your standard speaker. He's an excellent at being a master of ceremonies, man. We got to get this cat out here helping us out, man.
Yeah, I know.
We need Travis. Travis, you on the line?
I am here, my friend. Wow, that's I'm listening going, who's he talking about? Is that me? I'm just working on a cup of coffee here. I'm not sure you're talking about the right guy, but it sounded really cool. I got to meet him too.
Don't you love that? I mean, it's like, wow, it's really me. Wow. But it is. One thing that you brought up, which I think is really interesting, is our lack of gratitude for ourselves half the time. I know you say it in jest, but I'm sure you understand what you do well. And I don't see anything wrong with looking at yourself, not from a narcissistic perspective, but from, give ourselves credit, because we normally have that guy or the gal or a mom or dad in our head saying, you're not good enough. You're not, you can't do this, right?
Yeah, we call in the Architect series, we call that the 4 pillars, and that's called the mother, father, religion, and state, and that really kind of drives how our subconscious creates these patterns. And then we have this wonderful thing called the conscious ego that clearly believes it's in control, that says, no, but wait, it's okay. You can repeat that habit because, no, it's okay because it wasn't you. And next thing you know, you start creating these habits over and over again and reinforce them. And I step back and go, time out. Whoa, wait a minute. If you really step back, and I'm not talking about a narcissistic way as well, nor a non-egoic way, you're the one that's creating this entire journey here on your vacation called Planet Earth. So why not enjoy your own story? The difference is enjoying your story and looking back on it with, wow, that was really a great adventure, versus I really am my story, and believing that you're still in that space are two completely different universes. And that's where we tend to get lost, and we go back into our self-hypnosis, and we forget that we are our own architects of what we're actually creating here.
Wow. Now listen, you hit on, Travis, you hit on so many really deep topics there that I
take that for your opening statement.
All right, drop the mic. Show's over. I'm going home.
Yep, we're done. Yep. You guys are 3 hours ahead of me anyways. I had to catch up. Show's over. Gotta go.
But no, so what we're talking about is creating your own reality, and we discuss this all the time. Part of thoughts or feelings first, create a reality every nanosecond in this matrix of the world. A vacation, like you said, I agree. But when we get lost in our own drama, thinking we're not creating our own reality, we're caught in this drama, right? And then we don't take responsibility for anything. We play the victim role. We feel like we're out of control. We can't control anything because we're never given. Like when we're born, Travis, as you know, we're not given the directions how to use thoughts and feelings. It's like we'll teach you this fake history, and we'll teach you about algebra, and we'll teach you about what's going on in the corporations and whatever, or we'll give you a fake medical model to think that this is going to help you, right? Power's always outside of yourself, right? So we're not given instructions on thoughts and feelings. And if thoughts and feelings are truly navigating and is the architect of how we create our reality, wouldn't you think that would be the most important focus in everything?
Yeah, not only do I think it's the most important focus, and I'll even, if I can dovetail off the back of that, brother, not only we're not, quote unquote, not taught, we're taught the opposite. We're taught to think. We're taught to rely on logic. We're taught to rely on be conformist. We're taught to how we coulda, woulda, shoulda, supposed to talk, act, be, and do, because we have to be, quote unquote, a valuable, very dangerous word at a young age, valuable contributor to society. Ooh, yeah. What is the worst thing you could tell a young person who just arrived on planet Earth from whatever star they decided to port in from and jumped into their spacesuit, commonly called your body? But by the way, you're not valuable enough for just being here. Doggone it, you've got to earn it. Oh, and by the way, here's your reward. When it's all said and done, you're still going to die broken dead. But we just want you to be a contributing member. Otherwise, you're not valuable. What a horrible way to start your vacation on planet Earth. And it sets us up for such a long process of recalling who we actually are versus who we think we are. And that, of course, is where Architect comes in and says, because I'm a how-to guy, brother. Yeah. I was, just like everybody else, I was asleep. I was told who I was supposed to be by my mother, father, religion, and state, had a beautiful awakening at 19 years old, fought it for a while, actually, and ran into my mentor who came along and gave me the proverbial slap on the head and said, are you ready to wake yourself up and stop doing this? And of course, my ego said, yes, of course I'm ready. I'm Travis Fox. I've got this all figured out at the ripe age of 21. Yeah. Anyway, and then it took another 15 years to finally figure out what he was actually presenting me with and said, hey, this is what we're talking about. And so if you actually look at the whole name, it's Architect of Being, equipment to unwind your mind. So I'm a how-to guy. I was a guy that could asking that question, well, how the heck do you unwind this thing? Because wherever I go, it's attached to me. I can't seem to get out of it. And I mean that literally and metaphorically. And so over the last 28 years and literally the tens of thousands of people we've trained in Architect Series and corporations, it was designed for one purpose. You're already fixed. The illusion is that you're broken. That is where we get twisted and we start creating all of these wonderful self-hypnotic stories that we need, quote unquote, to find ourselves, discover ourselves, find my true passion, find my star-crossed lover, da, 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 da. And these big archetypal journeys that we set ourselves on, if we want to quote Joseph Campbell, phenomenal, by the way, the hero's journey. Right. And we go on all these hero's journeys, but we never complete them. We stop halfway and go, well, that wasn't it. Nope, that wasn't it. Nope, that wasn't it. Nope, well, that makes me feel better, so I'm going to go do that for 30 seconds. That isn't it, because the adrenaline, what we call the endorphin squirt, wears off in about 10 seconds. Once the adrenaline comes off, you go, well, that still feels the same caca I felt 20 minutes ago. Yes, because the caca is within you, and you've created the illusion that you're caca.
That's, again, wow. Where do you start with that? You have touched on so much information because when we're already perfect, right? We come to this world, we're perfect, but most of us are taught and taught from, like you said, the state, the parents and stinking thinking just in general. Our subconscious runs the show, as you know, right? Our subconscious runs the show, right? And so we're just not really given the tools to navigate through this process. But once you're out there and you're showing people, you're helping them. Not so much you're designing their lives, you're giving them the tools so they can design their own lives, because everyone's creating their own reality. I mean, you're co-creating. We're all co-creating with each other on a collective level, right. And I always say co-creating with God, right? And so you give people the tools. And so when we get back from this first break here, let's talk about what kind of tools that you, Travis, are giving people so they could design their own lives, okay?
Sure.
All right. You heard from the man. We'll see you in a sec.
Are you ready to be the hero of your own story? It's time to put the power of your back into your hands. Join us for our free 25-day journey to get your life back now from chronic illness. Our doctors and experts will guide you back to optimal health.
And in fact, if you think about these diseases, if you had a gene for Alzheimer's disease or you had a gene for macular degeneration, these diseases typically don't show up until you're much older in life. How in the world did you make it through the first 60, 70 years with no problems? Because your body has taken care of things. And if you just do a little bit to take care of the healthier brain or the healthier eyes, your body will take care of things and do what it did for all that other part of your life. This is just a headline from a talk that was given by the head of neurology at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. And you may have a little time reading, but he's saying that by the time we're all 90% of us, 85% of us are going to have Alzheimer's disease. And this is garbage, okay? This is the kind of stuff that doctors put out there, that we're all headed towards Alzheimer's disease, that somehow dementia is a consequence of aging, that everybody's going to lose their minds. And that's just, it's not true.
Go to www.getyourlifebacknow.live and begin your journey today.
All right, we are back with the one and only Travis Fox, the architect of your being. You can reach him at travisfox.net. Check it out. It's a pretty impressive site. He's a pretty impressive guy, doing a lot of good out there in this world. Hey, Travis, you said you woke pretty early, and I kind of was too myself, like late teens. I read a few books, and it just kind of led me on that journey, right? But when you really connected to Source, let's say, I don't know what you call God, Jesus, or whatever your higher power you believe in, but when you really connected to Source, is that when you really got it, or you kind of you're lost in your head like I was for many years? He's on mute. Okay. Say it again. I missed you there.
Yeah, no worries. I would actually say I'm still lost in my head. The illusion that we have, quote unquote, got it is another great illusion of the ego. The only time that I personally believe that you truly get it all the way is when you decide to leave your vacation here on planet Earth and return, back to whence we came. I call it great spirit for simplicity, or architect, down in your heart, because I found as I've traveled around the world now 3 times with my wife and I, we've traveled, we went, hey, you know what? There's only one noble truth, and that is none of us get out of this life alive. Period. It's the only one that we can immediately all agree on to start having immediate connection and remember that we're all connected. If we start going from the 4 pillars, it immediately creates egoic states of argument or competitiveness, which we're really not that interested in. So for me, actually, my story in the simplicity version is it actually started when I was 19 years old. I was born and bred, according to my father, to be a professional golfer. I started playing at the ripe age of 5. By the time I was 11 or 12, I was right around scratch, and I was going to be on the PGA Tour, and I was going to be the next Jack Nicklaus. One problem, I didn't really like golf. I was good at it, and I still am good at it to this day. In fact, I've written golf books. I was coached on the PGA Tour for 10 years and had one of the great psychological infomercials out in the world called Beat the Bogeyman that changed how we approach golf psychologically. It wasn't because I enjoy golf, though. It was because I was so running from my own demons of the 4 pillars of trying to get my father's approval, because it was the only place we could connect, because my father came from a very different ideology than I did. My ideology was, hey, wait a minute, my being is the only part of me that's going to survive this journey. I wanted to be in that space all the time. Well, to my father, who was a very left-brain, logical, kind of a meat and potatoes kind of guy, no judgment, just as who he was, didn't jam with his kid who's going, well, gee, maybe there's things out there that are far more interesting than. Yeah, can't do that. You're going to make me look bad, kid. This is about how I look. It's not about your freaking journey. Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't realize I was here to make you look good. I thought I was here for my own journey. Oh, gosh, I didn't get that in the manual. I was like, oh, my bad. So I had this epiphany, and I actually self-destructed my own golf game.
No kidding.
Which is what later became the impetus for my doctoral thesis called "Are You Afraid of the Bogeyman?" And it was obviously a double entendre on the bogeyman for the golf course, but more importantly, the one in your head, because I could not do that. Anyway, long story long, it set me in my path. I met my mentor, Dr. Neves, who truly changed my life, and I sat under him for 15 years. And then, really, to be quite candid with you, I'd still, even with all of the knowledge, and I use that term quite loosely, I still hadn't tapped into my wisdom. After 15 years, I'd done more corporate trainings I knew what to do with, more performances, more stage presentations. And the last thing he said to me, which was quite fascinating, and it took me another 10 years to figure out what he was saying, what truly a master's path he was. And he's taken the great journey, so obviously I say was from that perspective. He said, Travis, he came and saw me and said, you know what, you're a master. I can't teach you anymore, which of course freaked me out. I was like, what do you mean you can't teach me anymore? You're the guy. I mean, but I'm just the guy following you. He goes, no, you're a master. He goes, now go unwind it. What? What? I'm sorry. Don't they ask, what language did you just speak to me? I said, what? I just spent 15 years learning all of this information, psychology, NLP, clinical hypnotherapy, timeline, Ericksonian. I mean, I had mastered it all and put it all into practice. And he said, now go unwind it. And that's what really became the impetus for Architect of Being, when he said, Travis, I taught you all of this and all this schooling, all these demonstrations, so that you could show people how to get out of this, not to get more into it, which was the great illusion I had. I spent 15 years of my life under a personality part that I created called Dr. Travis Fox. And that Dr. Travis Fox was still hiding because I was still afraid that my father was going to find out that I really didn't like golf. And all of a sudden I woke up one day and went, well, that's a goofball. What are you doing to yourself? And when he said that, go unwind it, I went around the world 3 times and spent time with other great masters and sat with them and said, what is it I'm missing? Because I too, like everyone else, said, well, wait a minute. Someone else has got to have the answers for me. It's got to be an external thing. I've got to sit with a guru, or I've got to sit with a Buddhist monk, or I've got to sit with a priest, or I've got to sit with a rabbi. Someone who supposedly has all this stuff figured out. And guess what? They all said the same thing. The only thing I came up with was the noble truth, which was none of us get out of this life alive. And so I took everything that I was taught, all the experiences, everything that he had taught me and said, what if you created a system that helped people truly work backwards, and backwards meaning inside, so they could understand, how is my conscious mind actually working against me? How does my subconscious actually create belief structures? How do I attach emotions to those belief structures to reinforce the habit and the values? And then more importantly, where am I storing all these emotions, commonly called memories, so that I can really get down to the heart of the matter and stop hypnotizing myself to believe I'm anything else but what I am. And that's how Architect arrived. Here we are 28 years later, and that's
reverse engineering. I love it, and I think right, and I think that's exactly what, probably the smartest way to go about it, because we learn all through, first, half part of your life, whatever this world and collective is wanting us to learn, and then we have to relearn it really when we finally realize, well, maybe we're much more than just this personified being that we created out who we need to be, right? So, no, I think it's brilliant, and I agree. And I think, I know Source plays a role in that. I don't know if you talk about that at all, but
openly, let's go. How far down the rabbit hole you want to go, brother? I'm open. I'm on my second cup of coffee. I'm awake now.
I love it. California time, man. He's ready to rock and roll. I like to go there because, to me, I agree. I think it's inevitable. I think even Einstein said, you find God in the cell. You find God in the molecule, in the atom. It's there. And I think when somebody says they understand God, source, whatever, I think everyone's just kind of saying from their perspective. I really don't think we really can understand it from my perspective. I think we could feel it. We could have a sense of it. We could enjoy the essence of it. But we really are, like, our minds try to define it. We really can't understand it, can we?
No, right. And here's the better part in the question. I 100% agree with you. And I talk about, and I call it Great Spirit for simplicity, just for the simplicity of, because people like to get into, their ideology, which I'm really not interested in. I'm like, look, we're all going to end up, Act 3 for everybody's film is the same. Boom. We end up broken dead. We're done. So now that we know how the film is going to end, let's talk about what's going on in Act 2. How are you actually living, and how are you creating the experience of your time here on planet Earth? And yeah, my response to that is very, very simple, is that, look, guys and gals, it's not rocket science. The whole point of this is, if you could understand the entire universe, would you want to? Doesn't that take the adventure of it out? I mean, when you go on a vacation, let's say you go on a vacation, you're going to go to the Bahamas, or you go to Africa, or you go to Australia, wherever you're going, doesn't matter. But you go there, don't you go there with a wonderful sense of excitement? The moment you get on the plane, you're excited, you get there, and you want to go explore. How come it's not that way all the time? We call that architecting in the awe, AWE. Architecting in awe, which will drive you down, as Einstein said, to the cellular level of going, wait a minute. If you really step back and look and watch everything, wow, we have no idea how all this stuff works, but it's really cool. So why not sit back and enjoy the awe part of it and tap into the feeling, because we don't have to understand. There's a great line from the movie The Matrix. I know you all know it. It's one of my favorite lines. It's, your comprehension is not required for your cooperation. You don't need to understand it in order to participate. If your feeling is what we drive on, your being is the only thing that survives this mortal coil, to sit there and need to understand it is a waste of your time. Accept it, create from it, and go and enjoy the vacation, because the other illusion is that you believe you have time. Which you don't, because you can't guarantee. None of us can guarantee what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. We can guess on probability, but we all both know, and not all of us talking here, is just another state of creating self-comfort and self-illusion that we're not currently in the present, which is exactly, by the way, how the conscious mind is designed. It's never in the present moment. Even now, you and I are talking. We both have wandered off to past stuff and to what we're going to say next that has nothing to do with you and I connecting, and we do it every single day, and we all know we do it, which makes it self-hypnosis.
It is self-hypnosis, and it's so great when you could articulate like you just did, and to put it in perspective, because to truly be in the present moment, and do we really fully understand that? I think we have glimpses of that throughout the day, but to stay in it for, moment after moment after moment throughout hour after hour after hour. I'm sure there's perhaps maybe some people on this planet could do that. I don't know, maybe not, but I do agree with you that until we move on outside of this shell of our body into whatever the next agenda is going to be for us, John Bradshaw talks about it's the metaphysical blues. Until you're connected back to unity again, you're always going to feel lacking. We're not always going to feel a little bit not fully happy, I guess, on that level, right?
Yeah, I know, and I've heard Mr. Bradshaw say that comment over. I staunchly disagree. I think that is also a way of giving yourself the excuse of not staying present and owning your own stuff.
Ooh, look at
right?
you!
Bottom line,
John, going to John Bradshaw, I love it. So challenge that.
I'll take Bradshaw straight on, not in a competitive way. To go, why? Wait a minute. If you're the architect of your being, how could you say that? Oh, right. We're always going to be that. Always is a generalization tool of the mind. And the mind takes the word as a generalization and creates a belief structure. Right. And then you fulfill it. Right. Even the great Maharaji said in the 1800s in the famous book, he said, look, even the creating in the I am not, you're still creating from the I am. So even if you say, I'm only going to create this way, I'm only going to see glimpses of it, I'm only going to have, this periodic spiritual blues, so to speak, you're still creating that because I am is still I am. And when you really drive all the way down, isn't it interesting? And what can be more interesting than being present?
Listen,
you can tell me all the fun stuff you're going to do, but I'm going to tell you the reason why they're fun is because you were present, period. Whatever emotion you wanted to create from is immaterial. You're still creating it. And so to sit there every day, and that's what Architect Series actually does, is give you a series of steps. You can check in with yourself and monitor when you're putting yourself back to sleep, because we all do it. We choose to do it, but you're still creating that too. And wouldn't it be interesting, instead of saying have to take responsibility, which by the way sounds really ominous, and you got a duty and you got this thing you got to do, you got to be responsible, right? Yeah. Be responsible. Yeah, responsible sucks. All right. What it's interesting. No one wants to be responsible. I haven't met responsible people yet. People who are responsible are people generally who are creating, that kind of experience, which is great. We need people to create that if they want to create that, so we can see in ourselves maybe what we want to create and emulate for ourselves, or what we don't want to create. So for me, it's a beautiful reflection. Right. I go, oh wow, that's really cool. Thanks for showing me that. I want to create this feeling, and now I'm going to create that. And so part of Architect not only says, hey, can you stay present? Of course. How could you not, unless you choose not to and get lost, which is okay, because the feeling of lost, there's value in it. And here's the one thing I'll jump in on that that point. I find that a lot of people get really, really stuck on, in the past I had this bad relationship, or I kept doing the same job, and I did this. I said, wait a minute, isn't there value in discovering the value of not? What I mean by that is discovering what it not feels like, what it doesn't feel like. Now you know what it doesn't feel like. It doesn't feel good, for simplicity. So there's value in understanding, oh, I had to go create all that so I know what that feels like, so that when I now shift and create from what I want, if it doesn't feel like I want, I don't have to participate. It's that simple. There's value in everything you're creating. Like the great Maharaji said, even when you're creating the I am not, you're still creating from the I am.
Brilliant. And so this thought process where you said when you can pull yourself out of the trauma and readjust yourself in the self-hypnosis, is this when you're actually the observer of your drama? Is that when the time is when you would actually be able to adjust yourself out of that?
Yeah, Architect gives you the ability to move from the observer to the observed, and eventually, as long as you continue to create and move into the space, you'll come to the awareness that even the observer and the observed is the separation into duality, and you'll move into the theory of oneness, and that even that is a creation of the ego at the finest, thinnest layer. Now, does that take some practice? Yeah, because we're not practiced at doing that down here on planet Earth, but eventually you get into that space.
Sure. Well, so it seems like if you take it to that nth degree, that we co-create our own reality, right? There has to be some type of collective level of influence in our own reality, because we're energetic beings and we're interacting with other people. We pick up on other people's energy, and there's this collective agreement, of what we believe is our reality, right? And then there's the individual ability to create your own reality. When we get back from break, let's talk about that. How does the collective interact with the individual ability to create reality? And what does that look like past our five senses? Is this same thing happen with our higher self? Are we creating our own reality on a higher self level, not just as temporal self? Or is there many more dynamics and all these different levels? Are we creating all these levels? I mean, when does it end? Stop the insanity. When is it? What really is going on here? How can I start enjoying myself? I don't know where to go from here. We'll be right back. We're talking to Travis Fox. Incredible topics today, guys. Start sharing on Facebook right away. We'll see you in a minute.
Dreams are today's answers to tomorrow's questions. Those words were spoken by the critically acclaimed psychic Edgar Cayce. His legacy as a sleeping prophet still stands stronger than ever with the creation of his Association for Research and Enlightenment, also known as ARE. Now you can join us and learn from Cayce's messages and teachers at the Contemporary Cayce Conference, happening July 20th through the 22nd at the ARE, Virginia Beach, Virginia. You'll get to experience all of Cayce's grand work, lessons about life, healing, and the spiritual realm. You'll be guided by some of Cayce's most devoted teachers, specialists, and philosophers known as the Five, including John Van Auken, Mark Thurston, Peter Woodbury, Cheryl Bear Bernath, and Dr. J.P. Amante. To register, visit edgarcayce.org/conferences or call 800-333-4499. We hope to see you there.
All right, we are back. Travis Fox, catch him at travisfox.net. You know, and I want to get into, we'll talk about those topics, and then I want to get some of the specifics that you could share and how people could reach you, best way to reach you in reference to getting, you know, if the company wants to pick you up and have you come in, or, you know, if you do individual work too as well. And we'll get into that towards later in the show. But right now we left off and talking about the, you know, like I said, taking responsibility. That sounds like work, right? Like, why not just sit back, like Travis is saying, enjoy this ride. Don't worry about figuring it out.
Yes.
You know, don't figure it out. Don't have that intellectual masturbation. You know, forget it. Let it all go. You know, and just enjoy this and do it out of love, right? Right. I mean, there has to be some criteria there. But as we're co-creating our reality with God got us all there is, or whatever you want to say, put your own title to it. We are also co-creating with a collective, and is the collective that? I don't know, but there's individual responsibilities. You know, every nanosecond, if we're creating this, we're collapsing the wave into form every nanosecond, right? And he was talking about earlier why we kind of, like John Bradshaw gets off, we get distracted by the world, right? We get out of our being, we get into more of the we're not the powerful all being person that we are. But so here we are. We're at a collective. You got the individual, and do you believe like in a higher self part of you that's not being reflective in this three-dimensional world, in the five senses?
Well, here's my response. Right. Isn't it where is the proof that we're not in that world?
In the beyond the five sense world? Yeah, there's no proof. I mean, you can't prove it. I don't think you can.
Exactly, and in and of itself, that becomes the question. Well, okay, and we start to create that, and that is what I call the thinnest layer of ego. It's so subtle, and the subtle ones are the ones that usually have the biggest impact. It's not the big trauma and fracture where we create personality parts and create projectionism, and we seek to fit in with the cool kids or the non-cool kids, and to try to conform based on the four pillars. It's the thin ones that create the biggest dissension between the concept of, wait a minute, you are a spiritual being at all times. There is no such thing as you not being one. Well, no, I'm down here on planet Earth. I'm in a three-dimensional space. Oh, I'm sorry. So the rest of you didn't show up on the what? You didn't come down on the elevator ride when you came down here to Earth? So how does that work? You had to check your code in at the check-in counter. So when you came to Earth, oh, I don't get to be a non-three-dimensional being. Well, I'm three-dimensional. Oh, gosh, I didn't read the fine print. Can I retract my contract? Oh, no, I got to wait 90 to 100 years to go back. All right, well, that sucks. I guess I'll hang out here on planet Earth for a while. It's insane, and it's that subtle separation. It's no different than hitting a tee shot on a golf course, right? 1 degree off at impact doesn't seem like a lot, but 300 yards down the fairway, 1 degree off is 15 or 20 degrees off center, and that's the same sort of way we start our life. We start right on center, and then it's just that 1 degree of shift, but by the time you're 30, that 1 degree puts us off on this track that we're in a three-dimensional space, and that, well, it takes forever to create down here, and it's a little slower because we're in three-dimensional space, which means we're really not this being, and you have to wait. All those are illusions you can create in real time, and we all do it every day, and we remind ourselves, and we call those MOGs. MOGs are our little acronym that we have in the architectural world. We call it moments of grace. And moments of grace are where we've actually created from our architect. We see it outside ourselves in an external experience, and you have that thing called deja vu or coincidence or the heebie-jeebies or whatever you want to call it. And that's at a moment of grace where your actual spirit, your architect says, hey, is it okay for you to wake up for 2 seconds and check it out? Because here's a moment where I'm reminding myself externally, you're still a being. You're not a doing. You choose where you want to create from here, hence the word moment of grace. You're giving yourself that opportunity to choose right then, do I want to create from inside or do I want to continue to go back to sleep? You choose. That's the responsibility that we have, hence back to architecting in the awe and staying present.
Wow, it seems so easy to get off track in a subtle way. Like you said, you're 1 degree here, and then before you stay on that track, then you're 100 degrees off, right? Eventually. So, part of this architectural program that you share with everyone, how do you stay on track of being the being that you are being meant to be?
Well, that's a lot of being over there. The only being I'm doing right now is a cup of being right now. Great question. Fair enough. Let's dive into it. In the Architect series on the forward-facing side, we have the 2-day experience and the 7-day dream architecting experience. Like the next one's coming up in Puerto Vallarta at the end of September. And you spend a week with us, and it's a very intimate group, and we walk you through the first 5 steps. And those first 5 steps are arts of practicing, because we're practicing now. And that's the great illusion that what we learned in school and all that stuff really doesn't apply, but it does, but it applied to teach us how to self-hypnotize. We're all master hypnotists. I know I've got a DCH in clinical hypnotherapy, which means at one time they thought I was a doctor and I was really important and smart. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I learned all this to understand how we do it to ourselves, because the great illusion is that anybody is hypnotizing anybody, or that the media is hypnotizing anybody. No one gets hypnotized unless you choose to hypnotize yourself. So Architect says, hey, let us show you how the 7 rules of the conscious mind actually work. What are those rules? And every human being has it. How does your subconscious mind actually work? How do the emotions work? And it is a step-by-step practice that you can literally start. And I know this sounds like it's a hocus pocus magic fix. It's not, boys and girls. It is something you get to do every moment if you choose to. But if nothing else, for your first start, no different than when you first learned to ride a bike, you'll do it for a minute. Every couple of hours, you'll sit and do it for a minute. And we actually show you how to do it, how to see what's going on. Because most people, when they start to do, let's say, a meditation of some sort of stillness, they get in there and their mind goes, no, wait, Travis, you're not allowed to do that stillness thing, because that means I'm going to lose control, right? Of course, the I is the ego. And you go and it gets floods with all these thoughts. We call those guardians. And those guardians are set up by you a long time ago when we felt a pain or a trauma emotionally, and we had no articulate language. And of course, I use that loosely because English is a very rudimentary tool to communicate feelings, but nonetheless, we'll use it as a common language. We don't know how to articulate it, so we store it down here somewhere, and we set up conscious guardians so that when we see, feel, look, experience through our 5 senses, assuming we're in 3-dimensional space again, that if it looks anything remotely close to that trauma we experienced, we'll fire a guardian off. And a guardian can represent itself in a myriad of ways to make sure that we don't feel that feeling. Here's the irony. If you're putting a guardian up anywhere in your life, and we all do it, by the way, because we're all master hypnotists, every one of us, if you're doing that, the chances are the thing you're seeking to avoid, you're carrying around in you all the time, which means you're creating it all the time. Again, even when you're saying I am not, you're still creating the I am. Architect walks you through a series of checks and balances where you can watch yourself and slowly wake yourself up, or quickly, depending on how fast you want to go down your own rabbit hole.
Fascinating. So it almost seems like you figured out God's purpose while we're here. So have you downloaded? I mean, that's pretty. That's pretty. If it is, who knows? I mean, do you? And I'm not even going to ask. Expect an answer that you would know this, but do you ever contemplate why you think collectively, all of us, not just you, all of us here, the common theme why we're here is just to waken up to this consciousness?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Look, let's put this in simplicity, boys and girls. Just because I created the program and just because I had a great mentor, just because I do this all the time, I'll tell you two noble truths. One, no one gets out alive, and I don't have any answers for you. I have really dang good questions, though. I have really good questions that will help you unwind this thing and come back to the truth, because the truth is already there. But I crack up at people that walk up and say, oh, no, I've got the answer for you. I'm like, really? That's funny. You're still here. Because one of the things that, you know, and when I was Dr. Fox and I was in my own illusion, my own self-hypnosis that I had all the answers, which is clearly hilarious, I used to go, oh, yeah, I can solve that for you. Shut up. No, you can't. Come on, Travis. You're in your ego. Wait, grow up. Wake up a minute. You are in your own world, brother. Get back to this truth. So when we really clear on architecting, and something we're going to offer here at the end of the show, which even you don't know about yet, which is really cool for people, and it is free, by the way, is, look, we don't have any answers for you. We don't. Anybody who tells you have the answers is selling you something. Okay, boys and girls, let's get this real clear. We don't have any answers, but what we do have is a series of really quality, very specifically clinically designed applicational questions that you can experience immediately to drop down through your own self-hypnosis, get to your architectural truth, and start creating again, because you always did, start creating from where you want to create from versus where you've been programmed to create from. Beyond that, my brother, I'm on the same journey you are. I'm about 50 years into this puppy, and I'm kind of going, well, I just started to figure out I don't know a dang thing. So if you're asking me, I'm the wrong guy. If someone tells you they know it, I kind of chuckle and go, okay, let me know how that works out for you.
Wouldn't it be nice that if we were taught this at first grade?
I love you. I love you. What a softball. Thank you so much. Actually, that is exactly what the Architect series is all about. We believe in the legacy theory, and that is our entire intention for the next long time that we get to be on this earth, as long as Great Spirit allows us to be here, is to create 1 million architects trained. Because architects is what goes back, and I hate to say time sequencing, but it goes back to the truth. You know, I did a thing on Instagram, and I don't know if the crew saw it, but it was done in Egypt. We were in Egypt last year, and I was fascinated by it. And one of the things that we discovered is that when the pharaohs were embalmed, the only thing that was left in the body, the brain was pushed out through the nose, which ought to give you the clue how they thought about the mind. All the organs were moved and put in jars so that when the pharaoh showed up in the next life, you know, they were ready to go and put those kind of back in, like, you know, that operation game we used to play as a kid. But the only thing that was left in the body was the heart, because they believe the heart is what guided the pharaoh in this life and will guide the pharaoh in his next journey, which to me goes back to the wisdom that we all innately know. The heart runs the show. Our brain is just a big computer that runs the spacesuit, commonly called your body, and then it's designed of how do I interface with this environment and my creations from inside out versus watching outside in. And so if we really are willing to go back to that, yes, not only is the Million Architects about that, I believe that there's nothing more important than reminding young journey people when they first come here to planet Earth, first grade, second grade, wherever you want to put that, start learning to create from here instead of putting our kids to sleep and to be a conformist and to get good grades and good be boys and girls and big boys don't cry and little girls have to be perfect all the time, and all these ideologies that we create that they have to live up to these performances. We start creating conditional love. And the moment we create conditional love, the only thing that we become searching for, quote, end quote, through our entire journey is, how do I remind myself I am love, and unconditional love is the only thing that's interesting. Everything else is an exercise in the value of not and in the ego in the three-dimensional space.
Yeah, you know, brilliant. You know, we really do have to learn how to start teaching this at a young age so we don't have to spend the rest of our life, half of our life, unlearning everything that we, you know, didn't really need to learn. But there must be a purpose in that. There must be a purpose in that in itself as well. I mean, we truly would. If we were learning this on first grade, what you just shared and everything that you've been talking about, we would have heaven on earth immediately. And every house of cards would fall. And this is how you would create heaven on earth, is through that individual process, right?
Right. Well, of course, that would negate the religious pillar, though. We couldn't have that because that messes up the whole financial model.
Exactly right.
You know, it's funny. I got to throw this one out there, and I say this jestfully for everyone. But, you know, think about it. And, you know, having traveled in the world, and if you sit with all the great masters of any great, you know, religious structure, they're all going to say the same thing. No one gets out of this life alive, and there's a heaven after, or there's a nirvana afterwards, et cetera, et cetera. My response is exactly what you said. How come it isn't right now? If we're all reflections of God, you know, as Brenda likes to say, we're all, you know, grains of sand on the beach of God. We're reflecting each other. The beach doesn't exist without the grain, and the grain doesn't exist without the beach. So the grain is a reflection of God. You are, I am, everyone watching the show right now in live or in afterwards on the VOD, you're all reflections of God. The question is, are you willing to look when someone reflects back to you and see how they're reflecting and creating, honor their creation, and see yourself in that, and recognize that God can't teach God. That's why you hear me say, I don't have any answers for you, because you're God, I'm God, we're all God, at least in a reflection thereof. And if you come from that space, then you start to go, well, wait a minute, we're already all connected anyways. And you can start to see past the meat suit. You can see past the three-dimensional, stop using these eyes and use these eyes down here and start to go, well, wait a minute. What happens if we co-create together? How are you creating today? As a matter of fact, you remember when I first came on the show, I said, how are you creating today? And people go, well, that's a weird question. I'm like, is it?
Not really.
Or is it just a question that actually invites you to look into what's going on? So stepping into that space, yes, I think it is imperative, especially as far as we've taken it, you know, in this current model here on our time on planet Earth and our vast, you know, quote unquote, 3,000-4,000 years that we've actually been keeping track of history. We've gone to this competitive space where we've created a state of being of lack, which is my favorite one. I've got to get mine before you get yours. Well, okay, what happens when you get yours and I don't get mine? Well, that's going to create a competitive state for me to come get yours. So why don't you do all the hard work and then I'll just come get yours when you're done?
Welcome to the world we live in. You know, we're going to take another break, Travis, and that archetypal belief system right there, I think, is one of the biggest ones to try to overcome, or at least wake up to. You know, I think that's critical. And I love the fact that, you know, really the whole time the brain's been working for the heart. We missed the alpha. The heart's the alpha,
yeah, exactly.
And not the brain. You know, what's going on here? This is tremendous information. You guys listen to Travis Fox. Reach him at travisfox.net. We get back, we're going to talk about what he's doing and what else he's up to, and he has a gift for us. Let's find out what his gift is. I'm all about giving and receiving. I'm ready to receive, baby. Bring it on. All right, we're talking to Travis Fox, brilliant man. He's the architect of being. We'll be right back.
Good day, planet Earth. Michael Don Miguel Litton here in Roswell, GA. Join me every other Friday at 6 p.m. for the Ride the Vibe Show, the show where creative folks have the opportunity to share the genesis and power of their creativity, where they can intend having their talent being expressed all over the planet. Find my show on WDJY 99.1 FM on the United Intentions Spreaker channel, iTunes, Stitcher, and many more. You can also find my show on social media on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as United Intentions, and on Twitter at Higher Intention. Jump on the wave and ride the vibe. It's a cool way for getting the creative juices flowing. Cheers to a groovy day, and remember to always ride the vibe.
We're here talking to Travis Fox, architect of being. Reach him at travisfox.net. Check it out. You know, Travis, I love, in fact, I kind of created my world, you know, co-create my world here with where I could talk about these type of topics all day long. I mean, I'll talk about, you know, sports and things like that to a certain degree, but this to me is what I enjoy the most. I mean, I love, because it's reminding me every day, like you said, the Guardian, it reminds you every day that you are a being, right? You're that moment, right? And to me, it's its own addiction in itself, right? I mean, what else is more important? You know, so so here you are. You have to be downloading this information at this, or you probably always have been, I would assume. I mean, do you feel that flow? Okay. Right.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer you can't reflect what you haven't experienced. I mean, there's a lot of people that claim to be teachers, self-help, life coaches, et cetera, et cetera. That's really great. But you cannot reflect what you've not experienced. And that included me as well. Again, that's why I laugh and joke at, you know, my former private self. If I was Dr. Fox, I knew everything. Yeah, I knew everything, but I had no clue what was going on. I was not awake to my own self yet. And, you know, thankful for my mentor. And I believe mentorship is a lost art as well. We have forgotten the art of passing it down through experience. We've relied on, obviously, knowledge to do that. But even more so, I think it's super valuable from that space of timeout. time out. And I asked this question, so I'll ask all the viewers right now. It's a very, very simple question. And you guys did at the top of the show. It's a question we also ask, are you ready? And most people will say yes. And they just say it as a knee-jerk response because they're supposed to say yes. But the question I hit them right after that, again, because we don't have any answers, we have really good questions for you, is if you only have 30 days left to live on this planet, and you do it, you knew absolutely without a certainty doubt that you had 30 days left to live, would you be doing anything that you're doing right now? Now, I can tell you point blank, almost every time someone says, we ask that question, everyone says the same thing, nope. And then I respond, then how come you're doing it? Then I'll get all the myriads of excuses. Well, I've got to pay the bills, I've got that. I'm like, time out. You can create whatever you want if you're willing to go there, because if you understand that Act 3 for all of us, the end of the film is the same. No one gets out of this life alive. How you choose to live your adventure was when you start to really understand you're on the greatest adventure, as Joseph Campbell said, the hero's journey. It just happens to be, and hopefully in most cases, maybe a 90 or 100-year journey. What could be more exciting about that? With the exception of, yes, there are times we need to architect in the quote unquote not. So we learn what it doesn't feel like. This doesn't feel good. This feels bad. It feels pain. It feels depression. It feels breaking up, a broken heart. So now we know what that feels like. So then when I go to create, I am crystal super clear that this is not going to get involved this time. It's going to create from what I really want to create. And I can be in presence and enjoy my experience the entire time, step by step. And remember, it's an adventure. Get out of your head, people. Come on. What a great adventure. And guess what? It didn't cost anything.
It's free. Don't take it so serious, right? So serious. Why so serious, right? So
yeah.
And we do, and I think it's brilliant, and I do believe, like you said, I mean, it has to come from the heart. The heart, again, is in charge. The brain, we might have thought the brain was in charge, but it's really not. Heart's probably so cool and sly, and like, hey, the brain, you think you're in charge? Go do your thing, and don't forget, I'm always here. I'm running the show here. So coming from the heart, and I think it's brilliant that a lot of people who are suffering from chronic illnesses, who are in pain right now, and there's this overall belief system that, well, I just can't wait to get the hell out of here. I want to ascend up and get out of here, and I hate this world and all this. But what if the purpose was to create an environment here on Earth to ascend down into Earth? What if our higher self is to come here and live, or to wake up to our higher self? What if that's more of the reason? Then running away may not be such an important goal, right?
I was already a fan, but now I'm a super fan. If there's a level to go super as an adjective. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And it is quite the opposite. And it's part of the religious pillar, right? This is the life you have to suffer and have pain on and all this. And then you go to some, external place. And I'm going, time out. If you're still a being, and I want to ask a question, because I said, well, I don't have any answers, but I have really good questions. And it goes to the point of reminding yourself that you're a being, that the mind thinks it's running the show. So there's an old saying that says, if I lop off your head, problem solved, but you still exist. How is that possible? And it puts you in that space of recognizing there's something else bigger than us going on. And that puts you into that question of, well, what is that? And that question alone is, what is that? Even though that is a very distancing, disassociative question, it at least gets you to drop in and go, well, okay. And looking from that space, and then drop back into, well, wait a minute. Maybe my entire journey was to come here to remind myself that no matter where I arrive, I am still the higher self. Just because I'm in a spacesuit that allows me to quote unquote breathe in this environment, quote unquote, so I can feel that, does not negate the fact that I'm still a being having a human experience. Doesn't mean you're not going to have a Martian experience next week or an outer rim experience. It just means for right now in this time and space, whatever that actually really means, you happen to be here. And here's the irony, by the way, when you get your spacesuit, you don't even get to name it. Like, I didn't get to name myself Travis. My parents named it. Oh, you're going to be Travis. I am, but I don't feel like a Travis. What's a Travis? And they're like, oh, well, you're going to be a Travis. Okay, I'll be a Travis because you said so, because I want to get love and affection, And you start putting yourself to sleep almost instantly, and you go, this model's nuts. Right? But it's done so that we can remind ourselves in the ultimate beautiful way of time out. You're always the architect, and great architect, great spirit, however you want to couch that as a word is fine by me. Who am I to tell you what to do? But for us, as we call it, the great architect is going, hey, wouldn't it be interesting if you could just remind yourself no matter where you are, there you are.
Amazing.
Start with planet Earth.
Amazing.
Just start there.
Like what if this second coming, what if this was an awakening from within ourselves and not some superhero coming in to save the day, right? What if it was that? What if that was the reality?
Love it to you. I'm having a bro crush right now, bro. Absolutely. Right now, man. Bro crushing it. Bro, pound it big time. Absolutely. Of course it is. Because you're all grains of sand on the beach of God. Yes. Hello. You already are a superhero. You are already a superstar. You just chose to put yourself asleep, as all superheroes have that ability to do, to remind yourself that you're not, so that you can wake up a day and go dun dun dun, like Mighty Mouse, giving myself my own date and age. I'm here. I am to save the day, but it's not save somebody else's day. It's save your own.
You know, I mean, wouldn't that make more sense? You know, here you create heaven on earth. I mean, you know, why would we have just to hang out, wait for somebody else to do all the work? I mean, why not? Why is this like the challenge on every level? I mean, it makes more sense to me, at least logically, but coming from my heart, it feels like it's right too. But
yes,
you know, who knows?
Likewise.
So tell us, we have a few minutes left here, Travis. Tell us what you want to share with us.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, if I can do the shameless plug, if you don't mind, because I'm super proud of this.
Hey,
in 28 years, thank you. I appreciate it. In 28 years, I've never released all the methodologies that we've talked with at the corporate level and what we did at the athletic level. I did the golf book many, many years ago, but I never released the leadership book. How do we actually create and scale, replicate businesses that are consciously aware, starting with our inner message? And that book is available now. It's called Architect That. And that book is based on a series of all the things we've taught. It's called Building Your Business by Leading from the Bottom Up.
Hold it
Obviously,
up.
That's a double entendre of this book. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hold up more. There you go.
There you go.
How's that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Keep talking about it.
Just give me that moment of drama there, just so we all can drop in our ego for a second. All right? There you go. There's the shameless plug that we're all into. And it's about building your business. And the business could be anything from your adventure here on planet Earth to your corporation, to your personal brand, even to your relationship. Building from the bottom up means both from here, bottom up, meaning the heart out, and also too as a leader. We have this great illusion that leadership is a top-down model. It's not. That's a competitive model. You know, step on people, get the thing, get to the top, and then guess what happens? We have to destroy it, because that's how our brain is actually built to do. Where our heart says, hey, how about we create from the bottom, and it goes ad infinitum. So it's a double entendre, so you can get that. But more importantly, the one thing that I want to invite all people here, if you're ready, even if you're not even sure that you're ready, but you have that ping, we call it a heart ping, you feel that thing today, you felt something that said, gosh, some of this makes sense, I don't know what to do, but I know something feels off and I want to feel better and I need to experience that. We do what's called free architecting sessions. You can talk to any one of our architects, myself included. All you have to do is go to our Facebook page, which is Rocket Science. It's at Travis Fox 360. You'll find the Architect Series. Send us a message that you want to do a free architecting session. You get a free 15-minute architecting session with myself or one of the architects who have gone through the AIT training and architects themselves who all started exactly. These are not professionally trained people. They are not therapists. They're not going to put you in a Gestalt model. You're not going to talk about Freudian model. You're going to get a series of questions that are going to help you unwind this and get to this. Because again, we don't have any answers for you. So I'm not going to sit there and blow sunshine up your skirt that we do. We don't. We're still on our journey here as well, but we have really quality questions that have designed over a 28-year process that I've learned to help wake myself up continually every day, as the architects do as well. And all you have to do is put us on our Facebook page, ask us, hey, I want a free architecting session, and you'll have it. Our gift to you guys thank you for letting us invite other people to wake themselves up. And let's create something more interesting than we've done heretofore.
Wow, that is fantastic. That is wonderful, actually. And I hope everybody listening takes advantage of that, and we'll take advantage of it as they're listening to the rebroadcast too as well. Amazing what you're doing. Amazing how you're posing the questions, because you're right. No one knows the answers. When somebody tells me they know the answers, I turn off right off the bat, you know. But
I'm done. Done.
Exactly. I'm like, you know,
done.
If anybody should know the answers, it should be me, and I don't know the answers. You know, I mean, that's ego right there.
Right?
But yeah, I know, right? So, no, I think
here's the irony. The only person that does know the answer is you. Well, it's your journey, man. If anybody tells you they got the answers for you, watch out, brother.
Know, right?
Like, beware the Buddha alongside the road offering free advice.
That's a great one.
It's like, no, time out.
Oh, wow. This has been wonderful.
And that's the funny thing. That's what I love about architecting. I used to be one of those guys. I stood up on the stage and said, I've got all the answers. I've been trained. I have to come to the back of the room and I'll sell you a bunch of crap that doesn't do anything except make you have more crap.
Yeah,
and then I finally went, something's completely out of whack here. I've got the wrong model. Wait a minute. I got to stop talking.
Oh,
what am I doing here?
Hey,
I was that guy.
I love it. Travis, hang on a second, okay, when we close out the show here. Yep. But, and listen, guys, you've been listening to Travis Fox. Catch him at Travis ChrisFox.net. We will see you guys here, and I guess we have a couple more shows coming up here, and we'll see you shortly. We have the Psychic Bartender. Don't forget to see that, Gloria Parker at 4 o'clock. We'll see you then. Take care, guys.
You have been listening to The Good Intention Show on the UI Radio Network. The Good Intention Show is sponsored by the United Intentions Foundation at unitedintentions.org. Look for us on Blog Talk, Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, and many more. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram under United Intentions, and on Twitter at Higher Intention. Be sure to log on to unitedintentions.org, a virtual community where you learn to create, track, and manifest your passions, one intention at a time. Have a wonderful day, and until next time, live life with intent. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.